LoreWarrior Aerotech. Space stations. Of the many types of space stations once found throughout the inner sphere, only a few have survived the succession wars. There are no more than 200 of these still in existence. Though space stations are not as difficult or expensive to build and maintain as, say, jumpships, construction facilities are geared to churn out needed combat dropships, leaving few resources for building new space stations. About one space station is constructed in the inner sphere every 2 to 3 years, just enough to keep up against combat losses. The space station's lack of mobility makes it a choice target for assault by dropship and aerospace fighter. The existing stations are well armed, however, and can defend themselves quite well against poorly organised attack. Crack commando units are effective at capturing stations, and so some of them employ Marines for defence. The Olympus class space station. The Olympus is the largest space station operating in the inner sphere. It is dome-shaped, mass is roughly 1 million tons, and measures 1,500 meters in diameter. The station is normally positioned near standard zenith and nadir jump points to provide support and repair facilities for jumpships and dropships. In addition, it serves as an early warning site to warn the planets of incoming enemy forces. The Olympus's most notable feature is its enormous solar collector sail. Though larger, this sail is identical to those used by jumpships. Fully deployed, it measures over 4 kilometers across and collects roughly 6 times the energy of the largest jump sail. The station's sail will power internal systems, and the large surplus of energy is stored in the station's 6 energy banks. If a jumpship needs a charge, or a quick charge, the energy stored in these banks can be transferred via microwave transmission to the jumpship's energy collector sail. If the jumpship sail has been damaged, the vessel can dock with the station and receive the energy through direct connection. The station is equipped with deep space radar for detecting and tracking distant vessels. In addition, it possesses an infrared analysis system, which monitors shifts in infrared radiation from deep space to detect incoming jumpships before they arrive. The automated system is very accurate and gives very few false alarms. To serve as a refueling point, the Olympus carries a number of fuel tanks with a total capacity of 10,000 tons of liquid hydrogen fuel. This could be transferred either by docking and direct connection, or by using one of the station's shuttles as a sort of mini-tanker. The latter is usually preferred because, even though it requires many trips, making it rather expensive and time-consuming, docking operations are always tricky and often dangerous. The station is equipped to serve as a cargo way station, and it contains 12 cargo bays, each capable of holding over 13,000 tons. Normally, these compartments are rented to merchants and military units in need of temporary storage space. Within the dome-shaped hull of the station is a pair of minor repair facilities. Vessels massing up to 50,000 tons can be repaired within these bays. Larger vessels can be repaired at the single large facility located on the front of the station. Because it's in great demand, use of the Olympus's repair facilities have to be requested in advance. As jumpships cannot travel to space stations orbiting planets, this is the only station type feasible for jumpship repair. The Olympus will also normally carry 150 personnel and has room for up to 126 visitors. Housing is quite comfortable, and the station's interior is quite roomy. It's also equipped with one of the largest grav decks ever constructed, measuring 1,230 meters in diameter. The entire station's personnel accommodations are located here, and because of its size, it's hard to tell that the deck is one large rotating centrifuge. Besides holding 276 personal quarters, the deck also contains a number of mess facilities, lounges, recreation rooms, and interplanetary travel offices, shops, and numerous businesses. The Olympus is equipped with excellent security systems. Ringing the hull are 30 weapon bays, each averaging 20 tons of weaponry. A moderate amount of armor plate protects the hull, and it's equipped with 12 small craft, half of which are aerospace fighters. Because the station cannot maneuver, incoming dropships and jumpships do not consider it a major threat. However, it can warn a planet of incoming invasion troops. So to prevent this, most attacking fleets send a commando group to destroy or damage the station's long-range communications systems. There are Olympuses located at main jump points of many major inhabited systems. Although these stations are no longer being produced, very few are ever lost in combat. Stations with maintenance problems can draw spare parts from those that have been damaged or have fallen into disrepair. The Bastion class space station. The Bastion is one of the few remaining space stations primarily designed to defend a world. At one time, all major worlds would possess a pair of these orbital fortresses. Since the Succession Wars, however, most of these stations have been destroyed. The Bastion, then, is a spherical station, 345 meters in diameter and massing roughly 150,000 tons. It possesses no maneuvering capability except for small attitude correction jets and an orbit boost thruster. The station's fusion power plant is located in the core of the station, where it's protected by the bulk of the material itself. Located on the bottom of the station's ball-shaped hull is a large array of communications and deep space tracking gear. Using the equipment, the station can detect dropships at ranges exceeding 200,000 kilometers, maintain long-range communications with 3 other stations, and maintain local communications with the planet. This gear is the station's greatest weakness. If this lightly protected equipment is ever damaged or destroyed, the station is cut off from other troops and unable to broadcast or receive warnings from other stations. Around the middle of the Bastion is a band of armour that protects the station's 8 aerospace fighter launch and recovery bays. Each one is actually a large airlock leading into an even larger internal bay. The inner bays house the station's 48 small craft storage cubicles, with each cubicle carrying a single fighter, assault craft, or shuttle. The normal complement for a Bastion is 36 aerospace fighters, 8 assault craft, and 4 shuttles, the inner bay containing extensive maintenance and repair facilities for the craft. On top of the station is a huge automated hatch that opens into a large dropship docking and repair facility. Although any dropship can dock with the station, only vessels with a width under 119 meters and a length under 151 meters can fit inside. For those vessels that the bay can be sealed and pressurized for, they can provide repair and maintenance crews with an easier work environment. When a dropship is inside the bay, it's hidden from enemy scans and is well protected from weapons fire. A concealed dropship has given many attackers an unpleasant surprise. Below this repair facility is a large grav deck. This ring-shaped deck is large enough to provide up to 0.5 Gs of artificial gravity without creating any equilibrium problems among the occupants. Measuring 10 meters across, the deck is used as a lounge, with about a dozen offices and a number of small recreation rooms. Directly below this are the personnel decks, which house the station's crew, marine, and visiting personnel. Personnel serve tours of about 2 months at a time, and the reason for personnel rotation is because duty aboard a Bastion is unpopular due to its static posture in combat. The station is unable to maneuver and thus cannot escape if it's in trouble. In addition, it's also heavily armed, and any attacking force will destroy it rather than try knocking out the weapons. The feeling of being aboard a floating tomb permeates the thoughts of many crew members. The Bastion's major design flaw is the channeling of its fusion power plant. The entire output of the plant passes through a single high-capacity relay before being distributed throughout the station. If this is damaged or destroyed, only life support, internal communications and emergency lighting, which runs off batteries, will not be affected. Systems rendered inoperative include energy weapons, fire control, radar, computers, communications, and lifts. Even with the power out, ammunition-dependent weapon systems can still be fired, though only once. Also, because fire control systems use the ship's main power, those weapons can be fired only at targets within visual range, and the chance of hitting it is about half of what it is with active fire control systems. There are about a dozen to 24 of these stations still in service, most being located at major worlds deep within the boundaries of each successor state. For this reason, few Bastions have seen much action in the recent past. Most repair parts for them can be manufactured, except for the station's fusion power plant. The Alliance-class space station. The Alliance-class space station is designed to provide major repair and construction facilities for dropships and small craft. In addition, the station is used to construct some small dropships, such stations being normally located in orbit around a major industrial world, particularly those without planet-based construction facilities. Often, stations located at major construction sites serve as administrative centres for orbiting dry docks. The Alliance looks like a long-stemmed mushroom with a crossed base. The large dome is the station's main hull, which measures 600 metres in diameter. The cross member at the base of the station is the dropship docking bay and is about 540 metres long. Massing 100,000 tons, the Alliance is one of the smallest space stations still in operation today. The Alliance contains a pair of major repair facilities located on either side of the central connecting column. Each is equipped with a dropship docking collar, which faces upwards during construction and repair. These docking collars can be angled 90 degrees outward, facilitating dropship docking. Once the ship is securely in place, the collar rotates back into its vertical position, placing the dropship within easy reach of the construction and repair equipment. This extremely slow process requires approximately 2 minutes for every 1,000 tons of dropship mass. In addition, because dropships are so massive, the repositioning cannot be accomplished without altering the station's attitude by some degree. Normally, the communications antennae must be readjusted to compensate for this change. A facility operations center located in the connecting column coordinates ship construction and repair. This large multi-room area contains operations computers, a communication center, an operations chief office, a facility master control room, a structural analysis center, an engineering briefing room, and an equipment storage room with a pair of personnel airlocks. The station is also equipped with a pair of docking collars which are located at the base of the connection column on either side of the structural cross member. Above each of these is a large repair center for making minor dropship repairs. Occasionally, the docking stations are used for loading and unloading cargo and personnel. To facilitate this process, a large cargo airlock is placed in the repair center leading directly into a large lift that can carry 1,000 tons of cargo up to the main bays. These are located in the station's main hull at the top of the structure. The large dome primarily consists of large donut-shaped cargo bays with the station's main power plant in the center. The bulk of the station, the cargo decks, have a capacity of about 80,000 tons. There are 3 cargo decks, each possessing roughly 1/3 of the ship's carrying capacity. Forming a ring around the lowest cargo decks are 4 small craft launch and recovery bays. Each one has an airlock that leads into 2 storage cubicles containing a mix of vehicles, including repair craft, aerospace fighters, and shuttles. Located between the small craft facilities are several personnel airlocks, fuel tankage, heat sinks, water tankage, and emergency batteries. Encircling the second bay is the ring that houses the station's main weapons bays. There are approximately 18 weapon bays, averaging over 16 tons of weapons each. Also located in this ring are the extra ammunition, fire control systems, and a large number of heat sinks and access passages. The station's operations deck ring the top cargo bay, and these decks contain the administrative centres, the control rooms, the life support, computers, and quarters for most of the personnel. The remaining personnel live on the single large deck on top of the cargo bays, which contains the main mess, recreational facilities, the med bay, laundry, and a pair of large hydroponic gardens. Alliances are almost always loaded with dropships and small craft in need of repair. The station's capacity to handle 4 dropships at once makes it an extremely valuable resource. It's near impossible to find an alliance that does not possess a long list of dropships waiting repairs. Unfortunately, the station's usefulness makes it a prime target for boarding and capture by enemy commandos. Sometimes, commandos will be waiting aboard a dropship that's scheduled for repair, and after the ship has docked, they infiltrate the station. And that concludes the 3 different space stations that were originally shown in dropships and jumpships. So if we go back to the Olympus class space station, this is one that masses at 1 million tons. It's 660 meters high and 1,500 meters in width, with a crew of 276. Its cargo complement is 159,200 tons, and it's armed with 12 PPCs, 12 LRM-20s, 12 AC-5s, 6 AC-20s, 12 SRM-6, 12 large lasers, 30 medium lasers, 36 small lasers, and it has 30 tons of LRM ammo, 12 tons of SRM ammo, 12 tons of AC-5 ammo, and 18 tons of AC-20 ammo. It was first introduced in 2663, and it's considered an uncommon sighting. Structurally, it has an integrity of 1000, can carry 10,000 tons of fuel, has 12 vehicle cubicles, a single vehicle repair bay, 12 cargo doors, a station keeping drive that weighs 10,000 tons on its own, 8 energy banks weighing 800,000 tons apparently, solar sail 320, 2 grav decks, and over 200 heat sinks. Each weapon sectors between 1 and 6 contain a 2 PPCs, 2 LRM-20, 2 AC-5, an AC-20, 2 SRM-6, 2 large, 5 medium lasers, and the remaining being small lasers. Making it rather effective at defending itself. Obviously, the Olympus, you could say, is kind of like the Babylon 5 of Battletech's universe, a large, varied station that can handle a whole bunch of different things, a lot of big living quarters. I would say probably its population is maybe a bit small, I don't know, 276 crew in total, and was it 100 odd people who are visitors? It seems a bit small for a station that's obviously very large, but sets an interesting part of the universe there, with these usually being located at jump point nadirs, so basically where a lot of ships will arrive in system, where these stations, will be the thing that will detect incoming ships and give early warning systems. Obviously not as common, you probably wouldn't see these on the borders, obviously, of a lot of the great houses, especially since borders do shift so regularly. So, these things are probably a bit more internalized, but the idea that back in the early Succession War era, you probably had quite a few of these stations dotted around. And also, as far as gaming is concerned, there's plenty of opportunity for characters to be running around on these kind of stations during some kind of crisis, having to travel to the location for all kinds of maybe, backroom diplomatic deals, being able to maybe smuggle items from one system to another, maybe being sent there to intercept or abduct an important person, all kinds of stuff, really. It's just a huge sort of playground of ideas, and also brings up the idea of life that isn't on a planet in Battletech, which isn't really mentioned that often. I don't think space stations get much of a look in a lot of the wider sort of writing of the universe. They've certainly not really been used much in the video games, so that's not really much of an impact there. But if we move on, we then have the Bastion class, or basically the Death Star class. A clear inspiration there. By comparison to the Olympus class, the Bastion is 150,000 tons. It's 345 meters high and 345 meters wide. Has a crew of 400 and a cargo complement of 84,890 tons. It's armed with 18 PPCs, 6 LRM-20s, 12 LRM-15s, 6 AC-5s, 6 AC-10s, 12 large lasers, 60 medium lasers, 72 small lasers, with 36 ton of LRM ammo, 6 ton of AC-5 ammo, and 12 tons of AC-10 ammo. These are actually older than the Olympus, first introduced in 2584, and are considered to be quite a unique sighting, which makes sense. These things are probably seen above like New Avalon and Luthien and stuff like that, which then brings into question, I'm assuming they would have been destroyed during the battle for Luthien, for instance, by Smoke Jaguar, but there's no mention of those being involved at all, which leads me to believe that the writers may have forgotten about these things. I'd still say that even clan ships don't want to get too close, or would want to risk too much trying to attack such a heavily armed space station, but either way, they have obviously 2 dropship bays and 6 cargo doors, over 1,000 heat sinks with 48 vehicle cubicles in total, and 2,000 tons of fuel. Each weapon sector contains 3 PPCs, an LRM-20, 2 LRM-15s, an AC-5 and AC-10, 2 large, and then a whole boatload of medium and small lasers. As far as gaming is concerned, the Bastion probably doesn't have as much, unless you're doing some kind of military-focused campaign, where the players may end up in a location like a Bastion for some kind of important rendezvous, maybe getting aboard one of the dropships that might be inside, hidden inside, that has some, maybe like an escort target, someone who has to be protected while they're brought from the station to another locale, and you're going undercover maybe in a procured civilian dropship that is scheduled to arrive somewhere else soon, and the players will be secreted aboard kind of thing as the undercover crew are moving out. That kind of thing. You probably do some kind of clandestine military operation stuff. Actual aerospace games, fighting one of these makes it quite a big deal. Obviously, running around inside one of these stations during, as it says, the commando raids. It's always commando raids. It's never just like a boarding operation by a military force. It's always like commandos. Like a squad of 6 or or like a team of 12 commandos apparently going to take out the entire station and control the whole thing. It's kind of crazy. Brew break. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but it's different. It's cool. And the last one is the giant space schlong in the Alliance, which is obviously your sort of your main sort of space repair station, basically. And it's where all your gruff worker types are going to be, who are just getting along in life. They have 100,000 ton in mass. They're 975 meters high and 600 meters wide. They have a crew of 300 and a cargo complement of 80,000 tons. They are armed with 6 PPCs, 12 LRM-15s, 6 AT-5s, 12 large lasers, 36 medium lasers with 26 ton of LRM ammo and 6 ton of AC-5 ammo. They are actually the most recent of the ones to be introduced in 2713 and are considered quite rare. They have 8 vehicle cubicles with 2 cargo doors, 1 grav deck, and 400 heat sinks. The different weapon sectors here are a PPC, 2 LM-15, an AC-5, 2 large, and the rest being medium lasers. Again, it's one of those things where you can come up with all kinds of different games, but this is the kind of thing where you could, if you have a party of players who are down into more of the minutiae of the universe, where they can have if they're a mercenary commander and they have their ships, their dropships traveling to this location to be able to get them repaired, and you can set game, little bits of actual role-playing elements on a station like this, dealing with some kind of officious station manager or that kind of thing, or negotiating some kind of way of being able to get ahead in the line to get your ship repaired first, maybe sliding a few extra sea bills one way or the other, being able to maybe even purchase certain things while you're there for your crew, that kind of thing. It opens up a lot of those kind of possibilities. This is actually a location I wouldn't really use much for any kind of like combat focused scenario. It'd mainly just be for role-playing stuff. Just, it gives a bit of flavour to the universe. And again, like the Bastion, these are stations that are very rarely mentioned, if at all, outside of books like this. And as I've mentioned before, if I've mentioned before, but I'm sure I have, but dropships and jumpships, well worth picking up just because it adds a lot of extra flavour to the universe of Battletech. I know a lot of people listen to these videos and some people learn about some stuff that they've not really heard about before in Battletech, but these books aren't massively expensive as PDFs these days, and are well worth picking up just for yourself to be able to just reread them, have a look at some of the stats and the art for them, and just get a sort of better feel. I thought I would wrap up the last of the actual entries here with just all of the space stations rather than 3 separate smaller videos, since there's only the 3 stations anyway. I did ask in the past about if people wanted me to go through some of the actual more nitty-gritty stuff with the things like dropship design, jumpship design. They have shippable details about how some of these things work. There's some actual like in-universe writing for how some of this material works. So I'll get around to putting something together for those, because it has like costs for servicing these vessels and bits and pieces like that. So I should be able to compile something. Again, it just gives a little bit more sort of flavour to the wider universe of Battletech. But I have rambled for a good amount of time, 24 minutes, good God. So I'll let you all go. Have a good one. Thanks for listening, as always, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.